Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and tonight we have Miss Oralee Watkins McKinzy, and I've known them since she was a little girl. Her dad was really one of my friends that taught me a whole lot about Kansas City, and I'm from New York, but I've been here close to 40 years. But he's no longer here, and I want his daughter to talk a little bit about the things that she's involved in with the Watkins name. Welcome to the show, Oralee.
Thanks for having me. Mhm.
Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, what you're doing now, and what part of that is attached to the Watkins legacy.
Okay, well, I'll just start off by thanking you for having me today. You were a good friend of my dad's. I remember meeting with you, and my father told me that I needed to continue to work with you because you had the idea. But I'll get into that later. The Watkins Foundation was founded by my father. In spite of the different challenges that the community faced, he believed preparation started with exposure and opportunity. And through programs like the Watkins Foundation and Sharing Life Academy, we've learned that workforce development and skills like communication, leadership, and problem solving is a necessary tool to implement in curriculum development. And so the Watkins Foundation, we're pretty much working with students to configure who they are, how they can use their creativeness and program development and real world experiences. And they discover their strengths early by building confidence with the knowledge that they have, with knowing who they are. My father, prior to his passing, he found out that on the 11,000 acres of land at the Kansas City International Airport, there was an idea of wanting to build a privately owned racetrack over it. And it was so disrespectful in his eyes, he decided to speak with the aviation department about his vision of creating a digital format to tell the story of that 11,000 acres, touching bases on the indigenous people, the enslaved people here in Kansas City that resided in Parkville at the time, but migrated into Missouri, in which we are descendants of Bruce R. Watkins Sr. And he migrated into Kansas City, ran for mayor, first Black to run for mayor, first Black to sit on the city council. And he also continued civil rights movements and changed laws such as Blacks sitting next to whites in restaurants. So after his passing, my father and his cousin Bruce Jr. Decided to continue the legacy of making sure that all the people's story in Kansas City is being implemented and told, especially in programs, and youth are able to have access to that information. And so Cascade Media is a perfect place to find a lot of authentic information. My father worked closely with you, Carlos, and he was excited to continue the work. And here I am. I have the torch, and I want to help you raise awareness with our student ambassadors so that they can outreach additionals in discovering
I thought
strength.
I thought last night I was thinking about this interview today, and I was thinking about you, and I was thinking the conversation that I had with you, inviting you onto the show, and I was talking to you about the student ambassadors. One of the things that you mentioned that I don't really think adults are aware of, the kids don't have the confidence that you think they have in themselves. And you need to, it's a lot of bluster working with these kids. And it's so important to have role models. because what you have with the youth, as far as I'm concerned, you have the blind leading the blind because of how our family structure has been, and that's because of the system. But let's talk a little bit more about the Watkins legacy. Uh, Talk about the highway, this cultural center, and some of those things that uh, are designed to make sure that the legacy doesn't disappear.
Okay. Well, the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center was named after my uncle Bruce R. Watkins Sr. And it's supposed to be a cultivating place where people can find their enrichments, their history and culture. And Bruce, um, he independently taught responsibility, decision, and he showed that he led with decision making. When we're given tools like financial literacy, career planning, and critical thinking, that empowers the future and prepares us not to just thrive in we'll just thrive. And so at the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Center, it's supposed to be a place where we are cultivating and thriving with one another, telling our stories in a monumental way. And the Watkins Foundation, we are currently working with the Bruce R. Watkins Center. We have our youth help exhibit artifacts from the Watkins family. The funeral home in 1909, we have some of those artifacts that the students can look at, like the typewriter. There's a radio that used to be used that you no longer will see today. These students are having access to see what it used to look like and what it used to sound like when Bruce or my grandfather Warren spoke on Hot 103 Jams in 1973. And so it's amazing to see the excitement of the youth. My son actually found his great grandfather Warren Riley Watkins Sr., which was the first farm. He had the first farmland in black farmland in Kansas City. He's also was the first black mortician in Kansas and Missouri. Found his helmet, his football helmet. He played football at Lincoln High School. And my son knew it was Lincoln High School's helmet because the color of it. And he
Mm-hmm.
knew it wasn't his grandfather's helmet. It was his great grandfather's helmet because he researched and found out what it looks different. And so it's just and for your children, for me, to be exposed to something from the past and find themselves within that that's the start. That's the beginning of becoming the creator or being the leader or the enforcer that they need to be. And so higher education to me is important. And that you don't have to wait for that after high school. I believe it's necessary for some students to pursue college while they're in high school, like trades and different. Because they're ready. They have questions. They understand once they're told what an object is and what it used to be used for, and how we use technology today to represent what that looked like.
And that's important. I think off camera we had talked about. I said, if you're 20 years old, you've never seen a telephone booth, or you don't understand what a dial up. And so, history is very important. Education is super important. As I look at things, information is important, but if it's not applied, it's it's nothing. You when and we have a lot of information about a lot of different things, but we don't apply it. And so being able to transfer that information in a way that it can be applied, I think, is important, and I don't think that that comes by osmosis. I think that the things that you mentioned that Watkins Cultural Center is involved in and the charter school is involved in is very important, and it can't just be lip service.
No, no, because understanding our history gives us identity and pride. And being involved with places like the Kansas City International Airport exhibit, even, and the Bruce R.
Talk
Watkins
about
Cultural
that
Heritage
exhibit.
Center.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, it's pretty much preserving the culture of that 11,000 acres. There was indigenous people that resided on that plantation, as well as enslaved people. And there were 85 descendant families that lived in Parkville, Missouri. And the Watkins, we were one of them. And I am now an author. I have published in Women Unleashed in Social Justice with the commissioner, the first Black commissioner in Kansas, Dr. Evelyn Hill. There's other wonderful stories in this book that I'm published in, and we were one of the top sellers on Amazon. But I'm proud to say this. Not only was I able to tell my story, when I heard other stories, we were able to collaborate and find out four other authors in that book were also descendants of the Parkville plantation. These students don't know that they may be a part of a cultural experience that is needs to be expressed worldwide. We are the last state to get our freedom of enslavement, and we have a lot of untold stories here in Kansas City. We need to start preserving our culture and ensuring future generations that they understand where they come from and how they can shape the future. Cascade Media is the perfect place to do it, where we, as Black community, we can monitor our own systems.
I think that that is exactly what the company was designed for, to give a voice to the voiceless, to our community. Uh, and it's the road to success. I'm going to take this out of Jim Watts's playbook. He's always talking about the road to success is always under construction. And I feel that uh, I have my doubts whether we'll get there, but on the optimistic side, I think the youth can change it all. But
Yeah,
yeah, but we have to set the plan up, and it's a key part of changing your environment. I don't know how much I can say about education is one thing, but you uh, educating your youth and being honest with them. And history is it's not a Black history thing, it's history. And when they can differentiate from what the the textbooks are saying and the media is saying, when they get involved in their own history, they'll find out a lot of things that they were taught weren't true. And I think that's very important, especially for our community. And I have to commend you on starting on zero, trying to get to the number 10. And I think you at probably a 6.5. And that's real. I'm saying, I know for me, building what I've done is 20 years, and I'm nowhere per se. I'm here, but I'm nowhere. And you've been able to do what I was able to do in 20 years, almost in 6 years, I think. And I see that you've continued with your education. Talk about that.
yes. Prior to talking about that, my father was the footstool for me. He started. It was a 15-year fight for my father before his passing. So he started it, and I'm going to give him the credit. He empowered me and led me to believe that I had the support that I needed. I had the legacy that I needed, and that helped me design the interactive exhibit. I had the confidence to do this because of the voices of my father. Those were valuable words from someone that I cared about. So um, as I further my education, I think about my family and what was important and why I chose to study theology and psychology. And that is the basis of
Talk
um,
about that exhibit. You said something about an interactive exhibit.
yes. Well, we have two interactive exhibits that the students at Sharon Life Academy and I worked with at the Kansas City International Airport. We talked about that one. But there's also an interactive exhibit at the Museum of Kansas City. I am currently working with a team of individuals, workforce development, and um, interactive exhibit teams working with the Museum of Kansas City, and we're pretty much practicing restorative practice. We're gathering untold stories and we're uploading that onto an interactive exhibit at the museum. And so this has never been done in this space. And so it's exciting to be a part of restoration, and that's what we're doing. We're restoring. It's the movement to healing, and that's what my father would call it. Media gives us platform to tell our stories instead of having them told for us. Through like Cascade Media, we can highlight positive youth initiatives, bring awareness to important issues, and inspire others to get involved. And that's what we've done at the Museum of Kansas City, and as well as the interactive exhibit at the airport. And so we want to continue to start with giving young people the tools and opportunities so that they can focus on conflict resolution, mentorship, and safe spaces so they can redirect energy into something positive. When you feel seen and heard and supported, they are less likely to turn to violence. And that's pretty much where my focus has always been. I would create a program that combines career exploration, mental health support, and leadership training. It would also include hands-on experience like internship and community projects, so students can apply what they learn in real time. And
Oh,
so I want some authentic stuff, but the only way we're going to get it is from the youth.
what I'd like to do, I'm getting ready to close out here. What message would you leave for our community, our adults, and what message would you leave for students?
Well, I want to show that young people can lead and create change now, not just in the future, by contributing to education, culture, and community development. I hope to inspire others to step up and use their voice. It is challenging. Sometimes I don't know if you should use the word afraid, but it's discouraging to stand up and speak about something that is uncomfortable. But when things have been done uncomfortably to you, that should give you the courage to push and to start where you are. Use what you have and don't wait to be invited. Your voice matters right now, and get involved. Stay informed and be willing to lead. And you're not always going to be welcome at every table you sit at, but when you sit down, smile and be ready to talk about what you need to talk about.
Well, uh, as we always, I'm gonna steal another one of Watts's crap. This is Jim Watts, and
Another friend of my
yeah,
father.
hold it. Jim Watts is the one who really hooked me up with your daddy, and I didn't know y'all had the farm, goats, and all of that, and Watts would take me out there with Butch, and you mentioned mortician. Watts, we'd run by Watkins Funeral Home. In the back, your dad be doing this, his applying his trade, and I when I was in construction, they gave me a pretty decent sized contract. Uh, when I look at you and on this interview, even uh, your uncle would be proud of you. Your dad would be proud of you. I just remember uh, talking to you, like I said, maybe 6 or 7 years ago at Watkins Cultural Center. You was much younger, and where you have been able to move in Kansas City from a nonprofit position and an entrepreneurial position, and doing that at the same time, uh, raising your family. How many kids do you have? Run that down, the family life before we get off.
Okay, yes, my husband and I, we will be married for 10 years next year. We have 5 boys, ranging from 20 to 7. Okay, and they keep us busy. We're very proud of all of them. Our youngest are currently attending Crossroads and Holiday Montessori, and our eldest have graduated from Hogan High School. Both of them are working. Very proud of them. Very creative, very academic. They have athletic abilities as well. So I'm just proud to say that I am their mother and they support me and they know who they are. When they walk out here and they're representing the family, I can sit back and I'm proud. They've all spoke on panel discussions about what they think about crime and prevention, what's in the music, what needs to be removed from the television screens, what they seek in this future endeavor with technology and methodology, because they want to see some expansion with landscapes. And they have helped me create a lot. And my husband is very supportive. He's a truck driver. He cares about me and I love that part. And here I am. I just care about the community, and I want to see some change. And so we start here at home. This is our first business, making sure that our kids at home understand who they are and that they are loved, and that that's the energy we need to push out into the community, because a lot of people, the adults and the youth, they need this love that we're enduring out. And so I thank you so much, Carlos. You do great work. And you're talking about 20 years worth of work that is needed. And this will be passed on to the next generations once they understand what Cascade Media is doing, and that they have the opportunity to monitor their own systems, tell their own stories. And this is an authentic app to go to find and research real time information. That it'll blow up bigger than Google. That's what my daddy would say. It's gonna be bigger than Google.
I can see Butch now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close out with Watts. He has. I think He's like, it's a plum pleasing pleasure having you on the show. I be like, Watts, cut it out, man. So I'll end as we always end our shows. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.